DreAllDay.com.
1212. You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That's the go-getter energy that moves me, you, and anyone else out there to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to the show. Today's topic is balancing, or considering, rather. Let's call it considering. What people want from you versus what you want. And this is something that you probably, maybe you've had to consider this at several points in your life. Maybe it's something you're dealing with right now. I guarantee you this is something that you will have to deal with at different points in the future. I thought of this subject as I was on YouTube. I had made many times this has happened. I had made a video talking about some topic that was not the topic that some commentator expected me to be talking about. They just, whatever I was talking about, they just didn't agree with that topic. It wasn't even what I said or my position on the topic. It was just the fact that I was talking about it at all that they didn't like it. And they said, well, you know, Dre, I like when you talk about motivation or confidence or discipline, or if you want to talk about basketball. I've had other people say that. Why don't you just talk about basketball? Because you used to talk about, you know, basketball back then, whenever that was that this person knows me from. And they said, use your platform to talk about that instead of talking about this. So you should talk about this subject instead of talking about that subject. Or I want to hear you more talk about this thing over here instead of talking about this thing over there. And the first thought that I have whenever someone tries to suggest to me that whatever I'm doing is not what they want from me, the first thing that I think is, who the fuck are you to tell me what I should be doing? That's my first thought. And I understand that in your life, you're going to face these similar challenges. And at the same time, I also understand that you may not be as headstrong an individual as me, and that doesn't not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to not be such a headstrong individual. There are positives and negatives to, you know, all stances that you could have in life. And you may not be the type of person like me to tell somebody to fuck off when they're offering you an opinion that was not requested. So today, what we're going to talk about is balancing what, quote, the public, quote, close quote, and the public could be, you know, your significant other, just one person. The public could be your office mates. The public could be your audience of your show, your podcast, your TV show, your YouTube channel, your followers on Instagram, whatever the public happens to be. We're going to talk about balancing what the public wants from you versus what you actually want from and for yourself. This is an important topic that we need to address. So let's get into it. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is what people want from you versus what you want from and for yourself. Let's get something clear right off the top. Point number one, giving people what they want. This is a great business move. All right, it is not wrong to give people what they want. All right, it is not always the best thing to tell people if someone's offering you a suggestion of what they want. It is not always the best idea to tell them to shut the fuck up. All right, sometimes it's a good idea to listen to them and actually give people what they want. It's a very smart thing to do. You may want to, for example, I'll give you some examples here that are maybe different from what you're thinking. You may want to stay at home from work today, but since your boss wants you at work and going to work will keep your bills paid, it's probably a good idea to give the public what they want in that situation. Again, the public being the person who controls whether you have a job or not. That's a situation in which you should probably give the public what they want over giving you what you want. Another example is you may not want to go to practice for your sport, whatever team you play for, but going to practice will actually keep you on the team and will give you an opportunity to play in the games, which are things that you want. So you may want to go to practice even though you don't feel like it. Give the public what they want and go to practice rather than doing something that you want for yourself. That's also doing the labor instead of focusing on the fruit. So in such cases, and there are many others. So let's say, for example, if you're in sales and you put out a certain type of product and the customers say, well, we like the product, but is something wrong with the electrical outlet, or we don't like the color of it, or it's too big, or it's too small, or this adjustment needs to be made, or we expected it to work this way, but it's working a different way. In these cases, it's wise to do what the public wants over what you want. Sometimes it's wise. Sometimes you got to choose to do what you want, and sometimes you got to choose to do what they want. But there are many times, I want to make sure I'm making this clear. That's why I made it point number one. Listening to what other people want from you is not a bad idea in many cases. Sometimes it's the smartest thing that you can do. Paying attention to what the public wants is better than listening only to yourself in many cases. If you're in sales, for example, what is the rule? We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The data decides. The data tells you what the outcome is, not what you want. What the data tells you. If you write two different headlines for your websites, your sales pages, your product's website / sales page, and the headline that you like the most is only producing 25% results, and the other headlines producing 90% results, you probably want to go with the one that's producing 90% results. The data decides. The public has told you which one they want. The public has decided what's better than the other. If the product that you love, the one you created, and you think this is an amazing product, if it's not selling at all, but the product that you weren't really feeling, you were lukewarm about, you almost didn't even put it out, but that product is selling, which one should have your attention? Probably the one that's selling. Why? Because the data is telling you what it is. Sometimes it is better to listen to the public than only to listen to yourself, especially if you're doing something in which you serve the public. It's probably a good idea to listen to them so that you at least get some feedback on what the public is interested in and what the public is wanting, what the public is responding to. Doesn't mean you got to listen to everybody. It doesn't mean you got to listen to everything. Sometimes you got to turn it off, but there are many times that you have to turn it on. So make sure you understand. I'm putting this out as a disclaimer up front that listening to other people, listening to what other people want is not a dumb thing. Doesn't mean that you're a person who just gets walked all over. It doesn't mean you're a person who doesn't have any that you don't have any self-determination. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to listen to yourself. It doesn't mean that you're just a compromising person who never does what you actually want to do. Sometimes it means that you're just a smart person who is empathetic, a person who listens, a person who pays attention to the data and does things that just make sense for your business, this business that we call life. Point number two. Today's topic, once again, is balancing what you want, what people want from you versus what you want. And there's often a difference between the two. Now, with all that being said, in point number one, however, here's the however, and this is point number two. The public, again, the public could be one person, could be a million people. The public does not know you the way that you know you. The public will come to see you a certain way, and usually they want to keep you in the box in which they see you. However they decide to perceive you, that's pretty much the way they want you to remain. And why is this? We talked about this a couple days ago. Human beings are creatures of habit. All of us. We want to categorize people, and we want them to help us in that categorization by what? Not changing. I've categorized you as this type of person. So all I need you to do is remain this type of person. Don't do anything different. Don't change who you are. Do not reinvent yourself. Don't go do something other than what I see you as. Don't try to make yourself into anyone other than what you've already been or what I want you to be in my mind. We categorize people that way. You do it to other people do it to you. It takes a whole lot less mental energy if everybody that you've categorized certain ways just stays exactly how they are. Now you don't have to think about them at all because you know exactly who they are, where they are, and exactly what you want to get from them. If they change though, if other people change, now you have to do a whole lot of mental work in figuring that person out. Okay, they're not doing this anymore. Now they're doing this. Okay, now they've reinvented themselves to that. Now you got to do all this mental work to figure that person out all over again. And when you change, other people have to do all that mental work to figure you out all over again. If they decide to do the work, if they want to figure you out, they got to do mental work to figure you out because you don't fit the same profile that you used to fit 5 years ago or 3 weeks ago or 2 minutes ago. When you change, and change can be a change of career, it can be a change of what sport you're playing. You can change in how you're conducting yourself. You can change how you walk, talk, and dress. You can change your associations. People sometimes will criticize you just for the simple act of changing. They'll tell you that this change won't work for you. They'll tell you that this change is a bad move for you. They'll tell you that this change is going to produce a negative outcome on your behalf. And if you are always listening to the public, if you take point number one and you just take it out to the full out extent and always listen to what the public says and what the public wants and what the public is suggesting of you, the public will have you stuck in one spot forever. Your whole damn life, you will be the exact same way if you listen to the public. As I just explained, we are creatures of habit. We don't want to use all our mental energy figuring people out every single day. We want to figure people out one time and never have to figure them out again. So if you allow the public to tell you who you are, or allow the public to determine every single thing that you do or don't do, they will categorize you one way and you'll be there for the rest of your life. Understand that there are times to listen to the public, and it is smart to listen to the public, and the data decides when you are dealing with and or serving the public. But also know that there are times to ignore them and do you. And you must develop the discernment. You must develop the skill, the judgment to know when should I listen to what the public is wanting from me, and when should I listen to what I want from me. And maybe there are some times where you can combine the two. Sometimes you can please the public and you can please yourself, but sometimes you're going to have to displease yourself and do what the public wants. For example, going to work on a day that you don't feel like going to work. And there are sometimes you're going to have to displease the public in order to do what you want to do. I was reading this article, this interview of Rihanna, the singer, and she was talking about how she was starting some kind of clothing line, and she was doing some kind of art, and she had all these other projects that she was doing aside from music, which was the main thing that got her known in the first place. And she talked about how her fans were kind of getting pissed off at her, maybe in a fun way, but starting to be in a more serious way, because Rihanna wasn't making music. She wasn't in the studio preparing her next album, and she wasn't on tour performing her songs that all her fans know and love her for, because she had these other interests that she was doing. But she understood that, yeah, I'm going to eventually make music. I'm never going to tell my fans I'm not making music, but I also want to do these other projects, and my fans are kind of pissed off at me right now because I haven't been making music, but look, I got to do the things that I want to do. So sometimes you got to piss off the public to please you. Sometimes you got to piss off you in order to please yourself, or displease you in order to please the public, rather. Know that there are times to do either, and there are times to combine both. Point number 3. Today's topic is figuring out the balance between what people want from you versus what you want from you. So now that I've given you both sides, both possible sides of this, here's the bottom line of all of it. While there is a balance between listening to them, being the public, and listening to you, what you want, understand that this balance is not a black and white thing. It's not a 50-50 thing, as I just explained. It's not always listen to them. It's not always listen to you. And there's also, at the same time that it's not 50-50, also for you one-dimensional thinkers out there, hopefully there's not too many of you remaining, but if you are, understand that there is no specific formula that applies to every single person the exact same way and in every situation. In other words, just because in one situation you should combine and take half of what you want and half of what they want and combine it, and that's what you should do, that doesn't mean you do that every single time that you're dealing with the public. Sometimes it might be 75-25. Sometimes it might be 80-20. Sometimes it might be 99-1. Sometimes it might be 100-0. You must develop the skill of discernment. You must develop the judgment to be able to look at situations and make a decision, and understand that whatever decision you make, that's the right decision. Because decision is a judgment call. Decision making is an art, meaning the only person who decides whether it's a right or wrong decision is the person who made the decision. There's no science to decision making. Decision making is an art. So you have to look at it and say, okay, is this the right decision? Is it wrong? Can I make it a little bit better? Can I tweak it a little bit? You got to be able to look back on the decision that you made and the subsequent actions and ask yourself, has this turned out the way that I wanted it to turn out? Based on your answers, then you make other decisions, then you make other choices, and then you do other things. But understand that there is no formula for it. It's not a black and white thing. You can't read a book or listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video or get some instructional manual to tell you exactly how to make every single decision in life. This is where your skill of thinking must come in. This is where your skill of understanding, your skill of wisdom must come in. Taking the knowledge that you have, knowing when to apply it, how to apply it, when not to apply it, and when not to apply it. All of this goes under the umbrella of decision making. This is all part of the bottom line that I'm giving you here. What I tell someone is, when you're trying to make a decision between, let's say, what they want, that's anyone other than yourself, versus what you want and what you want for yourself, what I tell someone is this: would you rather mess up listening to them, or would you rather mess up listening to you? If you end up being wrong, do you want it to be because you listened to what everyone else wanted, or because you followed your own intuition? Because in life, you will mess up somewhere along the line. Guaranteed. You will make some mistakes. You will have some errors in judgment. You will make a decision that you thought was the right decision, but then later on down the line, once you execute on that decision, you'll realize that it probably was not the best decision you could have made. That's going to happen in life. It's happened to you before. It will happen to you again. I guarantee it. You're not trying to have it happen, but it's going to happen because you're human and because things change in life. So even something that works today is not going to work tomorrow. That's just the way that it is. You will mess up. So if you're going to mess up, which way would you rather mess up? Listening to them, or would you rather mess up listening to you? That's the decision tree that I pose to you. If you're ever in a situation where you're not quite sure which decision you should make, how should you listen to yourself, or should you listen to anybody else? Because there will always be opinions coming from the outside. I guarantee you, if you ask 10 people for an opinion, all 10 of them will give you something. All right, some of them are going to give you more. You're going to end up with more than 10 opinions, or end up with about 25, because everyone's going to offer you maybe about 2.5 opinions, even if you ask for one. Nobody's going to tell you that they don't have an opinion at all. Very, very unlikely you're going to get that. Everybody has one to offer. Okay, that's what they say about opinions. So the public will want things from you. There are times to listen to them. There are times to listen to you. And the formula for figuring out the balance between the two is that there is no balance. All right, you decide what that balance is using your own decision-making skills, using your own discernment on a case-by-case basis. That's another important thing that I want to make sure that I say here. It's not just one size fits all. I did it this way last time. Let me just do it this way every time for the rest of my life. Okay, that's 1.5 dimensional thinking. Don't be that way of thinking. One dimensional is just doing everything the same way. 1.5 is I decided one time, so now I'm not going to decide anymore. Do you just put everything on autopilot? It doesn't work that way, people. You see how quickly things are changing in life every single day. You got to change the same way. Remain fluid. Don't have any rigid systems within you. Remain fluid and move like water. All right, how water fills a cup, it becomes a cup. How water fills a bottle, it becomes a bottle. That's Bruce Lee. Let's recap today's topic, which is what people want from you versus what you want for yourself. There are people out there who will always tell you that they don't like how you change. They don't like what you're doing different. They don't like this new formula that you're using. They don't like that you're not doing what they wanted you to do or what you used to do. The thing is, you're going to face these similar challenges over and over again in life, and you may not be the type of person who will tell people, shut the fuck up. So today we need to talk about how to balance what the public wants, whoever the public is, versus what you want. Point number one, let's get something clear. Giving people what they want is a great business move. So I'm not telling you to never listen to what other people are saying. All right, it's smart to give people what they want. You may want to one day stay home from work, but your boss wants you at work, so going to work will keep your bills paid. You may not want to go to practice, but going to practice will keep you on the team. So it makes sense to pay attention to what the public wants and not just listen to yourself. If you're in sales, the data decides. Whatever the customers are buying, that's the product that your energy should be behind. That's just what makes sense, right? Point number two, however, the public does not know you the way that you know you, because the public's going to see you a certain way. They want to keep you in that box because we are creatures of habit. We want to categorize people. We want them to help us out in our categorization by not changing, which will cause us to have to do some mental work and use mental energy, which human beings just don't want to do. If you stay where you are, then people don't have to do any work figuring you out. So if people know you as a fill in the blank, they want you to stay there. If you change, then I got to do work. When you change, people are going to criticize you. People may ridicule you. People may attack you. People may try to persuade you to go back or to stay where you were, or entice you with fear of telling you that you should stay the same. They'll tell you that it won't work. And if you listen to the public all the time, they will have you stuck in the same spot for the rest of your damn life. So that's not a good idea either. Know that there are times to ignore them and just do you. But here's the bottom line. Point number three. While there is a balance between listening to them and listening to yourself, the balance is not black and white. It's not 50-50. And there's no one specific formula that applies to every situation. So what I tell you is this. If you're going to make a mistake, let me cross that out. Since you're going to make mistakes because you're human and you're not perfect, would you rather make a mistake following what they want, or do you want to make a mistake following what you want? Because you will make mistakes, and at the end of your life, when you're looking back, you want to make the errors of omission, things that you did not do for you, the life that you didn't live that you wanted to live, or do you want to have the mistakes of commission, doing what you wanted to do, listening to yourself, and you can say, well, I messed up on that, but at least I did what I wanted to do. Your choice. Work on your game. Dre all day. Hey, this is Dre all day. If you enjoy this mental game stuff that I talk about on video every day, then I put together a simple master class that will give you one key tip for developing what I call the bulletproof mindset. All you need to do is go to workonmygame.com/bulletproof. Is the link right here, and it's down below in the video descriptions. Just click on it, take you right to the page. I'm going to give you that video. It's about 20 minutes long, this masterclass I put together. One key tip for developing a bulletproof mindset. And when you get that special masterclass free video, I'm also going to make you a special offer to get the full bulletproof mindset experience. So just go to that link that you see right here, and I'm going to show you how to develop that bulletproof mindset right now. So if you like this video that you just watched, I'm going to show you how to take it to the highest possible level. You ready for that? Let's do it.